Drizzle wants to be with us for the video today, so if you hear any purring in the background or you see a tail on the screen, it's her! Hello, beautiful people of the internet. How are you doing today? My name is Jackie, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this video, I am finally going to discuss all the books that I read in the month of February. It's already almost halfway through March. Finally got around to doing it. In the month of February, I read 6 books for a total of 2,142 pages and an average star rating of 3.58. I actually have talked about several of these books in other videos already, which I will link in the cards, so hopefully this video won't be too long. Let's just dive right into the reviews. So first, for my February Read Christie 2023 pick, I read Partners in Crime, the second book in the Tommy and Tuppence series. And this was my favorite book of the month. I ended up giving this 5 stars. I recognize that, if I'm being impartial, the Tommy and Tuppence mysteries are not the most expertly crafted Agatha Christie mysteries. They're not going to have the most shocking plot twists or just be as cleverly plotted as some of her other books. However, in terms of my personal enjoyment, these are 5-star books because I just absolutely love reading about Tommy and Tuppence, and these books always make me feel really joyful, I think, for lack of a better word. So Tommy and Tuppence are a husband and wife investigative duo. In the first book, The Secret Adversary, the two of them accidentally found themselves embroiled in British espionage. In this book, Tommy and Tuppence have settled down to a quiet domestic life. However, Tommy's boss comes to him with a favor to ask. He needs Tommy and Tuppence to pose as the owner and secretary of this private detective agency in London that they believe may be affiliated with Russian intelligence and passing British state secrets to the Russians under the guise of being a respectable detective agency. So Tommy and Tuppence start working at this agency and they solve a series of cases. A really fun gimmick in this book is that for each case, Tommy and Tuppence take inspiration from a character from classic British crime fiction. So, for instance, there's a chapter where Tommy tries to be like Sherlock Holmes and therefore plays the violin very, very badly. There's even a chapter where Tommy and Tuppence try to be like Poirot and Hastings, the two main characters from Agatha Christie's Poirot mysteries. So she references her own fictional detective in this book. Now, a lot of the detectives Tommy and Tuppence were talking about were ones that I was not personally familiar with because they come from more obscure Golden Age mysteries that were popular back in this time period but aren't as well read now. However, I don't think that detracted from my enjoyment at all. I just find Tommy and Tuppence to be such charming characters. I know some people get a little irritated with them, but personally, I think they are delightful. I love the banter between the two of them and how they are a little bit competitive with each other at times, where they both sort of want to take the lead on the case and they both want to have their own way. And despite their disagreements, they are a very devoted couple, so I just really enjoy the two of them together and I enjoy seeing the shenanigans they get up to. So I just really love Tommy and Tuppence. I think their stories are so much fun, and honestly, I'm sad that Agatha Christie didn't write more books about them. Tommy and Tuppence actually aged in real time, so when I do read the third Tommy and Tuppence book, they will be much older than they were in this one, and I just wish Agatha Christie wrote more Tommy and Tuppence books, because I love them. I could have kept reading them and reading them and reading them. So next, I'm going to mention the 2 arcs I read via NetGalley. I reviewed both of these books in a separate video, so I will link that in the card. Definitely go check that out for more thoughts on both of these upcoming titles. First, I read The Golden Spoon by Jessa Maxwell, and I ended up giving this book 4 stars. This is a contemporary, cozy murder mystery that takes place on the set of a baking competition. It is very clearly inspired by the very popular TV show, The Great British Bake Off, and I absolutely love Bake Off. And I love murder mysteries, so I knew this was a book that I had to read, and I was so happy to be approved for the ARC on NetGalley. The fictional baking competition show in this book is called Bake Week, and it is hosted by Betsy Martin, nicknamed America's Grandmother, who is this kindly-looking older woman who hosts the show every year at her family's estate in, I believe, Vermont. This year, the contestants arrive at the estate for Bake Week. However, before the week is over, someone will die. Personally, I did predict where the murder mystery plotline was going. I felt like the foreshadowing was a bit heavy-handed at times, but I thought this was a really solid book considering it was the author's debut. And really, I think if you just go into this book looking for a fast, fun, cozy mystery read inspired by Bake Off, you'll be satisfied. If you just want to read a cute mystery that's inspired by this beloved baking competition, like, the book delivers what it promises. I will also say that this book is 100% a mystery, not a thriller. It is very much a slow burn, which was not a problem for me, but people who need to have an action-packed, fast pace, lots of thrills and, you know, all that stuff sort of thriller, I do not think you will like this book. But if you're someone who, like me, loves Agatha Christie's and loves Bake Off, I think this could be a good book for you. All in all, I enjoyed it. I think it delivered exactly what I wanted from it when I read the description. Next up, I read The Poisoner's Ring by Kelly Armstrong. This is the second book in the A Rip Through Time series. I was torn about my rating for this one, so I ended up giving it a 3.5 star. This is the second in a time travel historical mystery series in which our main character, Mallory, a 21st century detective, finds herself transported back to Victorian-era Scotland. She ends up in the body of a young woman named Katrina, who is the housemaid to Dr. Duncan Gray, a medical examiner in Victorian Edinburgh. I can't say too much about this book because it is a sequel, but the basic mystery plot of this book is that Dr. Gray's half-sister is suspected of the poisoning death of her husband. Several other suspicious poisoning deaths have happened around Edinburgh. So Mallory, Dr. Gray, and their colleagues start working together to figure out who is behind the poisonings and if Annis is really guilty or not. All in all, I thought the mystery plotline of this book was pretty entertaining and I enjoyed it. I also love the side characters in this book. I love Dr. Gray and his story, and I also love his sister Isla and his childhood friend, Detective McCready. I think my biggest problem with the series is Mallory, the main character, at times rubs me the wrong way. She is this modern 21st century woman transported back into the past, but at times I feel like her attitude towards people in the past is extremely judgmental in a way that just irritates me. I think the author wants us to see Mallory as this very liberal and intelligent modern woman, but at times I feel like her talking about people in the past and all the crazy things that they believe just comes across as very judgmental, and I think it's important to remember that people in the past were still people. They had the same emotions and feelings and experiences as us, and it's very easy to look back on those times knowing what we know now and wonder why they didn't know better. But let's just be honest, society is evolving, and centuries from now, if humanity is still around, they're going to look back on our 21st century lives and say, oh my god, can you believe people in the 21st century did this? How backwards. So I think really we should just look on people in the past with more compassion, and I feel like Mallory's attitude towards them just irritates me, and that was a problem I had with the first book, which I still had with the second. Next up, I read The Last Train to Key West by Chanel Clayton. This is a historical fiction novel. I forget exactly what year it takes place. I want to say it was the 30s or 40s, but I can't remember off the top of my head. And this book follows three main female characters who all end up in the Florida Keys during the same weekend. Their lives end up intersecting, and at the same time, a very dangerous hurricane is barreling down on the Florida Keys. I read this book for the vlog where I went to Key West. I will link that in the card. I thought it would be really fun to read a book about Key West while I was in Key West in that exact same place. I feel like this would be a really great beach read, kind of a light and enjoyable, female-centric historical fiction. I did like all of the main characters, and this book is also very romance-heavy, so if you're someone who likes a strong romantic element in your books, I think you might like this one. I thought all of the main couples were good. I can't say I really loved them because I think they needed a little bit more development and build-up for me to be fully invested. And obviously that's a hard thing to do when you're writing a standalone novel that has three main relationships in it. But I did like them all. I didn't have a problem with any of them. I just think, you know, it's not like they were my all-time favorite book couples or anything like that. I would recommend this book if you're looking for a fun, easy-to-read historical fiction book for the summertime, and I would definitely read other books by this author. I've heard good things about her, so I will definitely give her another try in the future. Then I read The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. I finally read this, and I have to say, I really didn't like it. I gave this book 2 stars, and I know, this is an international bestseller. This is widely considered to be an amazing work of literature. I just personally did not like it. I did not like how it was written, and I was honestly bored for pretty much the entire book. I'm sorry, don't come for me. This is just my personal opinion. This is a literary historical mystery set in the 1300s, and it follows these two characters, Adso, who is a young monk, and his sort of mentor figure, this man named William of Baskerville, and the two of them arrive at this monastery where a suspicious death has just taken place, and together they begin to investigate what's really going on inside this monastery. My problem with this book was I felt like it was so slow, and the way it was written did not work for me. I do not like literary fiction by and large because I personally just find the writing style of literary fiction pretentious. I'm sorry, like that's just my personal opinion. That's why I don't really like that genre. There were literally monologues in this book that went on for multiple pages. I mean, I don't know if I can find one right now, but just imagine if this entire page and this entire page is just one person having a monologue. That happened multiple times throughout the book, and honestly, it got to a point where I was just skimming because I was so bored with the damn monologues. I just really think this was not the book for me. It is very literary, very philosophical, and very slow-paced. I wanted more mystery, and what I really got was a lot of monks sitting around talking about theology and history. And I just really didn't care. I just wanted to know who was killing these people and get it over with. And then once we got to the explanation for why this person was killing people, I'm still not entirely sure I understood. Maybe I'm just too dumb for this book. I just got a really painful foot cramp. I think I'm being punished for my blasphemous opinion on The Name of the Rose. Ooh. Ouch. Give me a second. What can I say? This book was just not my thing. I'm glad I tried it though, you know, I had nothing to lose. I just know this is not the kind of book for me. Finally, I read the book that you all voted for me to read, Three Dark Crowns by Kendara Blake. This has been on my physical TBR for years and years. I bought this when I was a teenager and I put it on my self-destruct list because I just needed to finally read it or unhaul it. To be completely honest, when this won the poll, I was a little bit dismayed because this was the book that I was the least excited for, I think. However, I will say I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I ended up giving this 3 stars. I liked it, but I didn't love it. This is a young adult fantasy, the first in a series, and it takes place in this world, which is ruled by queens. It's a matriarchal society. And every generation, the queen gives birth to triplet daughters. Those triplet daughters all have their own powers. There are different factions in this world. So there are people who are known as poisoners. There are elementals. What are the animal people called? I can't remember. I forget. Naturalists, they're called naturalists, and there are also oracles and people who have the gift of war, though those are less important in this novel. And so when these triplets are born, at a certain age, they are separated and sent to live with their specific faction, depending on what their powers are. Then once they turn 16, they will engage in a fight to the death. Whichever sister survives gets to be the queen. So in this book, we are following the 3 sisters. There's Mirabella, who is a very powerful elemental. Katrine, though it's spelled like Catherine, the audiobook pronounced it like Katrine, who is a poisoner, though you find out at the beginning of the book that her powers are not super strong. And then we also have Arsinoe? I forget now how her name is supposed to be pronounced, but she is the naturalist sister. I really did like all 3 sisters as characters. There were things that I liked about each of them. I also really liked Arsinoe's love interest, Billy, I think his name was. He seemed like he was a really nice guy, so I did like his character. There was also a perspective from Jules, who is the best friend of Arsinoe and a very powerful naturalist. And to be completely honest with you, I don't know why Jules was a point of view character in this book. I did not find her interesting, and I really didn't care about her. I would have rather just read from the 3 sisters. I had theories. I was wondering to myself, why is Jules a point of view character in this book? Why is she important? I mean, I guess I can say what my theory was because it didn't end up happening. I was wondering, were her and Arsinoe somehow switched at birth and she's actually the real princess? Was she like a secret 4th sibling and that's something we're gonna find out later in the series? Neither of those things happened. So I guess I was wrong, and I'm still kind of confused about why her character was here. Yeah, I just really didn't care about her. I don't know. And the book is constantly telling us, oh my god, she's so amazing and powerful. And I was just like, yeah, she's so special. Whatever. Also, Jules' love interest, he sucks. Okay? He is awful. He does not deserve women fighting over him. He sucks. He's the worst. Billy is better than him, okay? Billy is a better man than Joseph. I don't care about Joseph. He sucks. I wish he had stayed missing. But like I said, I did like the 3 sisters for various reasons, and I was interested in where the plot went. The ending kind of made me be like, okay, that's an interesting turn of where the plot is going. I just don't think this is going to be a series that I'm going to feel motivated to continue. Feel free to spoil it in the comments and just tell me what happens in the rest of the books. Who becomes the queen? What happens? Why is Jules here? Let me know if you read all the books. So those are all the books that I read in the month of February. A bit of a mixed bag. It had highs and lows, but I am very happy that I was finally able to review these books for you all. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to give it a big thumbs up if you enjoyed, and make sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. I post new videos every Wednesday and Sunday. My social media links are down below if you want to follow me on Tumblr, Instagram, or be my friend on Goodreads. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a stunning rest of your day. Bye, and I'll see you next time.